Immigration has formed our world that we live in today. America is a mixing pot of all different nationalities and races. From the early pilgrims until the immigrants from Mexico, all groups of immigrants have had an immense impact on the economy. A booming economy is very enticing, and many countries saw the potential of America early on, either coming for religious freedom against their will or seeking new hope and new life. Immigrants have come to America and dealt with what they could. Every new nation brought a little of themselves to America and added to the growing economy. The Native Americans would never have guessed that a couple hundred years later, America would contain nearly every race, religion, and ethnicity in the world, and have an economy that affects nearly the entire globe. Immigration has been around since the beginning of time. It's usually done by a family or a group of people in search of new freedom, religion, maybe even government, perhaps. Europeans were heavily persuaded by money, and with this said, superpowers such as England, France, and Spain sailed across the Atlantic Ocean and settled in North America. England established 13 colonies, which have turned into the United States of America today. The United States economy began with a direct relationship with Britain. Britain and the British immigrants initiated the American economy. After the British immigrants settled down, they wanted to expand. The British government was hindering their expansion, and immigrants wanted to seek other resources and trade. Other European countries deemed themselves very promising to the colonists. It was important to keep the economy tied with Europe because in the 18th century, Europe was really the only developed part of the world. If the colonists were to create ties with South America at the time, the economy would not have been as pervasive or widespread as it has become. The forced immigrants from Africa, also known as the slaves, immensely impacted the American economy. After the colonists broke away from British rule and began forming trade relationships worldwide, the slaves only added to the growing economy. Especially helping in the South, the slaves were able to work long hours for a very minor wage and create a surplus of goods and materials. Agriculture became a main part of the American economy. With new goods on the market, more countries began trading with the United States, and the United States really started to break out as an emerging superpower. Through the immigrants from Africa, the United States started to create a heavy economic influence on the rest of the world. During the mid-19th century, Asians began discovering America. The Chinese arrived first, profoundly attracted to the gold rush, which brought some of the American economy out west. Also, the Chinese were put to work on the Transcontinental Railroad. For immigrants to have jobs is very important because it allows them to gain a footing on their new life and contribute to the nation as well. Shortly after the Chinese came the Japanese, also settling in California, Hawaii, and other western states. Throughout the 20th century, with the influx of Asians, there were also still record amounts of Europeans. Towards the late 20th century, India and other Asian countries joined the movement, and in 1980, about 2.5 million Asians immigrated that year. By 2009, over 10 million. The acceptance of Asians to America was vital to the American economy. Not only did they work and make America a better place, but the ties and connections now established with countries like China and India were crucial. A lot of trade and products sold in the US come from these Asian countries. Asia is a gigantic part of the American economy. It seems now that every product we own has the sticker "Made in China." If the relationship with China was severed back in 1850, the American economy would be completely different today. Nearly 1/3 of the foreign population of America today is comprised of illegal immigrants, mainly coming from Central America. The positive aspect of these immigrants is that they are buying products and contributing to the economy, but unfortunately have a lack of education. However, 19 out of the 20 fastest growing occupations in America today do not require college education. These immigrants are providing cheap labor to companies who can pay these people minimum wage. Unfortunately, this creates a lack of jobs for those true Americans. But this is just part of immigration. Immigration to America in all forms has led to the most powerful and most influential economy in the world today.